Hi, guys, and welcome to episode 10 of my SD-WAN series. So far, we've been through a lot and we've seen how to go about the SD-WAN fabric, the boot up, or let's say the device bring up process. So, now what you're going to focus on is one of the main features of Cisco SD-WAN, which is the centralized administration of the SD-WAN fabric. So basically, what you're going to do is that you're going to onboard every single device onto the vManage, from where we are going to administrate all these devices. So when it comes to data plane and control plane with the SD-WAN fabric, we are looking at two devices. So we are looking at vSmart, which is going to act as the control plane, or sorry, the brain of the SD-WAN fabric, controlling data and then control plane properties. And then we're going to have our V edges as well, which is going to be at our various locations. So the vManage is going to give us the platform to manage all these devices, and as well as the vSmart is going to act as the brain of all these dump devices. So for routing processes, and everything data flow, we are going to control it from the vSmart. So without wasting much time, I'm going to make sure that we onboard the vSmart first, and then we onboard the VHs as well. So these devices are already onboarded onto the vManage. So basically, what I mean is that you're going to put the administration of these devices in the SD-WAN fabric onto vManage. So in order to do that, we need to create templates for all these devices so that vManage can manage all the devices within the SD-WAN fabric. So first of all, I'm going to bring up my dashboard. So this is my dashboard. As you can see, let me refresh the page. This is our Cisco SD-WAN vManage dashboard. All the configurations has been done already. And as you all know, setting up SD-WAN in labs is quite challenging. So I designed this lab. I have a link to the lab. I'll share it in the resources for you so that you can as well import it into GNS3. Also, if you can also simulate your own lab in EVNG, that's fine. But then, as far as I'm concerned, I'm using GNS3 because I'm a GNS3 boy. So first of all, what you're going to do is that you're going to go to configuration, then we go to templates. So templates allow you to manage these devices. So we have the device template and then we have the feature template. Now the device template is the final template that we are going to apply to the devices. But then the feature templates are the various features, like let's say the various configuration blocks that we have in the Cisco SD-WAN nodes. So talking about the OSPF, the system configuration, the interface configuration, and everything, I'm going to use the feature templates. So similar to NXOS, when you have to enable a feature before you can use it. So without wasting much time, I'm going to add my first feature template. So I'm going to search for vSmart. And as you can see over here, we have a wide range of devices supported by Cisco SD-WAN. This code is 19.8, so I'm sure in the newer releases, we are going to get a lot of devices compared to this one. So, and then this one is going to work fine because it works. So let me search for vSmart. So first of all, I will need to configure the system. And now take it into consideration that whatever template that you are designing for from the vManage, it needs to match the initial configuration on the vSmart. Other than that, it's not going to work. So what I'm going to name this feature template is vSmart system configuration system, and I'll give the description that's vSmart. So the site ID is unique, and as you can see here, we have device specific because if we have, in our case, we have two vSmarts, so the site ID is obviously going to differ. So we are using this variable to as a placeholder to be able to give us the option to specify the site ID. And when we get to the template, applying the template, you are going to see it. So we also have the system IP, which is different for all the vSmarts that we have in our system. We have the overlay ID, we have the host name, which is also unique. Now, normally we have three options here. We have the global will just enable it without giving you a variable as a placeholder to store user defined variables. Okay, so not much to do here. We have our site ID, we have our system IP, we have our host name, and what else can we do? Not much that we can do over here. So I'll just go through and some of the most important things that we need to do. I think we are good for now. I'll click on save and also create another one for VPN0 because of course we need VPN0 to join the SD-WAN fabric. So I'll select VPN and I'll name it as vSmart, vSmart VPN0. And I'll name it, I'll give it a description as vSmart. That's good. So now here, as you can see, we have the global option enabled. So you can enable for VPN0. Then for the name is optional. We can just give it anything, but then I'll just keep it for now. There's no DNS configuration for the vSmart. It's connecting to the vBond through the IP because they all sit in the same data center. Is that correct? That is not correct because in my lab, I'm using a DNS server. So I'm going to go ahead and key in the DNS server, which is 0.5, because the vBond in my, as you can see over here, you realize that it reaches to the vBond through this domain name. And to get this domain name, we need to hit the DNS server. That's fine. So what else can we do? So let's see IPv4 route. Of course, there's a default route that we need to configure. So I'll add the next hop. And the next hop is so for the next hop, I'll make it a variable because you have two vBonds. So I will name the variable VPN0 next hop, or let's say default gateway, and I'll click on add, and I'll click on add to get that particular entry over here. Now, the reason why I'm using the variable is because, as I said, I have two vSmarts, so two different gateways. So I need to create a variable so that when I apply a template to these two vSmarts, I can get the variable to configure two separate gateways. That's fine. So I'll click on save. I'll add another one for the vSmart. Sorry, vSmart. Oh, vSmart. And then I'll go to now interface. So we have VPN0 already configured. We need to configure the interface that is going to be under VPN0. So we have vSmart. And then we have so vSmart VPN0 interface. And the description will be vSmart. Simple as that. So here I'll go to global so that global configuration for whichever device or the vSmart attached to this template. I will insert the interface, and of course, we are using ETH0, or we can just click on the drop down. Nothing is showing, that's fine. So we can just click on the and make an entry for ETH0. IP configuration is static, and I'm going to make it device specific. So let's say VPN0 underscore interface, or let's say one interface IP address. That makes sense, right? And there's no configuration for IPv6, and there's no tunnel configuration. Okay, I'll enable the tunnel for now, that it can join the SD-WAN fabric, and I'm going to allow all services. You can choose which services that you want to enable for the vSmart, whether it's DCP, DNS. Assuming I didn't enable the all, we can individually choose which services that we want to receive on the VPN0, and that is absolutely fine. You can do everything. So I think that will be for now. You can leave the defaults, and we click on save. So right now we have 3 templates defined for vSmart. And the most important thing is that for VPN 5.2, which is used for management, which obviously we don't even use, we still need to define a configuration for it. So I'll go to template again, vSmart. I'll select another VPN, and that would be VPN 5.2. So let me name it vSmart VPN 5.2. VPN 5.2. And the description, of course, vSmart. So we have VPN 5.2. There's no DNS configuration. There's no IPv4 route configuration, similar to there's no IPv6 configuration. I can save it. And now I need to create an interface for VPN 5.12. So vSmart interface Ethernet. So I'll name it as vSmart VPN 512 interface. And I'll give it as a description as vSmart. So globally, I'm going to unshut the interface, and the interface is ETH1. The IP address, I'll pick DHCP for the IP address so that I'll not worry my head. There's no tunnel configuration, and I think the other defaults are good. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feature templates defined for the vSmart. So it's now time to create a device template, and it's going to be built by these feature templates. So let's go to device, create template from feature template. So we're going to pick up feature templates to create the device template. So the device model is vSmart, and the template name is going to be vSmart. And then we have a description as vSmart. So first of all, for the system, we had a system called feature template defined. We choose that one. For the other ones, we can leave it at default. For VPN0, we created VPN0, remember, right? And then we have to add an interface under VPN0, of course, which we do. And now for VPN 5.2, we choose the VPN 5.2 feature template. Then we also add an interface. So we choose the interface, and we can leave the rest at default. So not much to do over here. So we've defined our vSmart device template based on, or let's say built up by the feature templates. So we can click on create. So now we have our feature template created. The next thing that we can do is that we need to attach this template to the vSmart in our SD-WAN fabric. So we click here, then we go to attach devices. We have 2 vSmarts. So we click on next, then we click on next, then we click on attach. So now this is the time where we get to see the global and then the variable specific input for the user that we define in the device templates. So first of all, I'll click on the first one, edit device template. And as you can see, it's asking me for my gateway and my gateway is going to be 20.0.0.1. Then it's asking me for the IP address on my ETH0, the one interface under VPN 0, and the host name it needs to match. So this is my vSmart secondary, and then the system IP should be 20.200.0.0.4. The system ID, of course, is 200. You notice that unless it's production, right, you need to keep some of these things very simple so that you can remember them. I'll click on update, and as you can see, all the parameters has been defined. So we have the green check icon over here. Let's do same for the vSmart primary. So the VPN 0 default gateway is going to be this. Then we also look at the IP address /24. Then we check the host name as well. So system IP, let's get the system IP. So I have the system IP over here. Then we also get the system ID. Just to point out, I'm just copying the configuration from the CLI that I used to build the device bring up process. So I don't want to get the configuration wrong. So I'm just doing copy and paste from my terminal from my other screen. So now we have our two devices checked out. So now let's go and see the differences. So vSmart is going to give you a configuration diff. So you're going to see the existing configuration on the devices and then what you are adding to the devices. Now, if all things being equal, there shouldn't be anything new to highlight between our configuration files. So if there's anything new, we need to go back and check the template configuration. So it's loading. We are going to have a configuration diff. So as you can see, there's an error over here. So we get to see the error. So what is the error? So the VPN address is invalid. Okay, so it's supposed to be /24. You remember I did a /24 for here. I forgot to do it for here. So as you can see, things has to match. So what I like about these software-defined solutions is that because you're as the operator, you are declaring your intent for the configuration. So they need to go through verification steps to make sure that everything is okay. This is different from the native Cisco CLI, Cisco iOS, where you just type something and it goes through. Even that one, sometimes it prompts you that this configuration is wrong or the syntax is wrong, so you need to change it. So let's see the configuration diff. So I'm not much concerned about the domain ID. We can just leave it as that. But the most important things that we're going to look at is the configuration itself. And you realize that the new configuration is no different from the old configuration. As I said, these things have to match. If they don't match, sometimes the device will be out of sync from the vManage dashboard. So you need to be very careful that the initial configurations on your SD-WAN fabrics match exactly as the ones that you have over here. So as you can see, we don't have much to do. So this is just the difference. So we have this existing on the device, and with the new template, we didn't add it. So that shouldn't be a problem. If we were to see like the green, let's say the green highlight, that is when we should draw attention to the configuration that we are adding. Normally, you see the green in the new configuration over here. And as you can see, there isn't much to add. So we are good to go. So the same thing applies to the vSmart primary. And as you can see, that's the same thing that we have over here. So I think for the existing for the primary, I intentionally configured an IP address for the 80, but either way we don't need it because we're not going to manage. I think I was testing the management interface. I wanted to upload certificate my certificate from my host directly to the vSmart. But then that wouldn't do anything. So we can just go to configure devices and then click on OK. So it's going to load and push the configuration to the devices. So I'm going to pause the video. This might take a while sometimes. So let me pause the video and come back when the upload is done. Okay, so we've been able to attach the templates successfully to the vSmart. And as you can see, first it goes to the validation checks and check if device scheduled for template push are active. So it's basically telling us that before it push the configuration to the devices, the vManage needs to make sure that these vSmarts are active on the network. And as you can see, it's active. And the vManage is talking to the devices to push the configuration through netconf. As you can see, publish messages to vManage. So if you have, let's say, a cluster of vManages, it's going to push the message to them. Then we have the checks has been completed. As you can see, we have successfully pushed the device template configuration to the vSmart. So we can go ahead and go to main dashboard. And as you can see, we have our vSmarts over here. So currently we are managing them. So the best place to see something that I should have shown you earlier is that when you go to devices, configuration devices, and you go to controllers, now you notice that the two vSmarts are being managed by the vManage. And I should have shown you this earlier because prior to pushing the configuration to, or let's say attaching the vSmarts to the vManage, the mode for configuration was going to be CLI. But then as you can see, as we attach the template to vManage, it's telling us that now the vSmarts are being managed by the vSmarts are being managed by the vManage. So not much to do for today. So we've been able to successfully onboard our vSmarts onto vManage using device templates. So thank you for watching this video. In my next video, we are going to see how we are going to, onboard all the vEdges onto our vManage. Thank you for watching this video and see you in my next video.